Good morning. Welcome to This Date in History, aka TDH. This show is all about the events that occurred to this date, occurred to date in years past, both recognized by other historians, but mainly things we personally find intriguing enough for us to bring to you. The sources of this information come from the Smart Device application Today in History, What Happened Today in History, Historical Calendar, and the website onthisday.com. For links to those sources, the music, and anything else potentially interesting, check the underbar of the description below. Anyway, I am Xander, and you, of course, are you. Today is Friday's Day, aka Friday, June 23rd, 2023. Alright, so let's get into the history today, shall we? We have a 19-page script, so quite a bit of history today. Let's see if I can hammer it out in under an hour. Starting off in 930, we have the world's oldest parliament, the Icelandic parliament, was established. The Alþingi, which is anglicized as Althing or Althingi. Pardon me. Interesting. 1298, Adolf of Nassau was deposed as King of Germany. Wow. So I wonder if that was the first Adolf ever deposed of Germany. Because I know at least there's one other happened. So 1523. I mean, wow. When did I become numerically dyslexic? Let's see. 1532. King Henry VIII of England and King Francis I of France signed a secret treaty against the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. Alright, I wonder what was going on with that. But moving on up to 1547, champion of the Protestant Reformation, Philip I, Landgrave of Hesse, was captured and taken to South Germany. Ooh. And we have 1517, a copy of Martin Luther's 95 Theses, the publication of which began the Protestant Reformation in Europe. Alright. Moving on up to 1645, we have the Cretan War began with an attack by the Ottoman Navy on Venetian-held coast of Crete. This war lasted until 1669. So that's 24 years? It's a pretty long war. Moving on up to 1683, William Penn signed a friendship treaty with Lenni Lenape of Indians in Pennsylvania, the only treaty, quote, not sworn to nor broken, end quote. Alright, cool. So, good old William Penn, the English philosopher and founder of Pennsylvania. Yeah. And a lot of people believe that he is, his likeness is being used for Quaker oats. 1713, the French residents of Acadia were given a one-year time limit to declare allegiance to Britain or leave Nova Scotia and Canada. Alright, well, you have a year, pack your bags, unless you want to be part of us. 1775, the first regatta held on the River Thames in England. What is a regatta? Hold on, let's see here. Regatta. Regatta is a sporting event consisting of a series of boat or yacht races. Okay. Then you got the Regatta Great Outdoors. Alright. What else do we have here? 1784, the first U.S. balloon flight, specifically piloted by a 13-year-old named Edward Warren. Not going to be the first kid to go aloft in a balloon. Anybody remember that little fiasco? 1789, French King Louis the 16th rejected the demands of the Third Estate, calling itself the National Assembly during the opening stages of the French Revolution. Man, things would not go well for good old Louis the 16th there. And then 1794, Russian Empress Catherine II, Catherine the Great, granted Jews permission to settle in Kiev. Alright. 1794, Russian Empress, 1810, wow. John Jacob Astor organized the Pacific Fur Company in Astoria, Oregon, and I believe that's what led him to being the, America's first millionaire. It was the fur trade. It was very, very lucrative. Moving on up to 1819, first editions of the Sketchbook of Geoffrey Crayon Gent by Washington Irving were released, featuring the story Rip Van Winkle. Alright. 1860, U.S. Congress established government printing office. Alright. Need one of those. 5 years later, at Fort Townsend, General Stand Watie surrendered last sizable Confederate army. Alright, yeah, the end of the war. 1868, just 3 years later, Christopher Latham Sholes patented the Sholes and Glidden typewriter, the first commercially successful of its kind. Alright. And now we have the good old keyboard. And, to get into a little bit of a rant here, a lot of people don't realize, like, why do we have the WASD format? Why is it not, like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like, stuff like that? That's brought over from the typewriter, and the typewriter was an analog device, not digital, and you had to have everything that functions within that compact space. And I'm not going to get into the reasons why they did all that, but when companies were making the transition from using typewriters to using computers, the manufacturers of the keyboard just opted it'd be easier to just keep the format rather than have them relearn a whole new format, just conversion from analog to digital. Everything physically is still the same. So that's pretty interesting. Moving on up to let's see here, where were we? 1888. Frederick Douglass was the first black U.S. citizen to be nominated for U.S. Vice President. Frederick Douglass. I did not know that. But that is awesome. And it's too bad he didn't win. That would have been cool. All the way back then to have a person of color, so to speak, a black, anybody, man or woman, in any position of power that close to the end of the Civil War would have been truly astonishing and awesome. Just awesome. That's, unfortunately, it took a little bit longer. But anyway, moving on up to 1890. In an effort to solve the Uitlander grievances regarding voting rights, President of Transvaal Paul Kruger instituted a second Volksraad responsible for controlling local matters. Alright, more government just handing off the problem to another person. 1894, the International Olympic Committee was founded at the Sorbonne in Paris at the initiative of Baron Pierce de Coubertin. And we might very well be singing into the Olympics within the next decade. We'll see. It's not been going well for the past decade already. For the past 20 years, actually. Maybe even longer, I believe. It's been a slow incline. So, or I guess a decline. Going down. Bad. Anyway, 1898, Emilio Aguinaldo issued a decree replacing his dictatorial government with a revolutionary government with himself as president. Alright, of course. 1900, British Governor Frederick Hodgson and some of his British supporters fled Fort Kumasi at the Gold Coast in Africa, where they have been under siege since April 6. So, 8, 9, 10... So 17 days, I think. While that was going on in 1900 as well, the Young Turks presented a manifesto to the major foreign embassies in Constantinople demanding that these foreign powers end the Ottoman Sultan's rule. Yikes. 8 years later, 1908, the USA suspended diplomatic relations with Venezuela after the refusal of Cipriano Castro's government to compensate U.S. citizens for injuries suffered in the uprising of 1899. Alright. 1915, Italians launched the first of what will become 11 battles to dislodge the Austrians from the Isonzo River, which kept the Italians from Trieste. Yeah, no, like, it wasn't the Australians with their stupid little bent hats up there. I need to learn how to read. 1915, Italians launch, I already read that. 1915 as well, Yanks get record 16 walks and 3 wild pitches, defeated A's Bruno Haas 15-0. Wow, that's a drumming right there. 15-0, yikes. 2 years later, 1917, an ammunition factory in Bologne, Bohemia exploded, causing the death of 1,000 people. Wow. Well, ammo depot, so... 1919, Marcus Garvey's Universal Black People Improvement Association, UNIA, incorporated. Cool. All right. 2 years after that, 1919, I already got that one. 1924, 8-month 20 textile strike ends. That's a long time to go on strike. 1 year after that, 1925, landslides created the 3-mile-long Slide Lake, Gross Venture in Wyoming. Yikes. One hell of a landslide there. Slide Lake. Let's take a look at that. So, Regatta. Nope. I want to look at Slide Lake. Slide Lake, Wyoming. Map. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So a landslide created that. Wow. So where's the landslide? Flip. Landslide. Let's see here. Oh, we just get this image again. So, well, that's lower slide lake. So I guess this whole thing is part of the lake, this tributary here. I'm not entirely sure. Well, anyway, moving on up to 1926, the College Board administers the first SAT exam in USA. Ugh. Yeah, standardized testing. Oh, what are we? A bunch of cogs in the machine, or are we men? Are we humans? You know? 1927, New York Future Baseball Hall of Fame first baseman Lou Gehrig hit 3 home runs in Yankees' 11-4 victory over Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park. Alright. 1928, commencement of the West Indies cricket's first ever test match. England went on to win by an innings and 58 runs at Lord's. Alright. 4 years later, 1932, St. Louis Browns defeated New York Yankees 14-10. Lou Gehrig's 1,103rd consecutive game in a Yankees uniform, equaling Joe Sewell's record with one team, the Cleveland Indians, for the second guy, respectively. 1935, UK Foreign Secretary Anthony Eden offered Benito Mussolini a Somalian harbor. Yikes. So, yep. 3 years later, 1938, Civil Aeronautics Authority in the U.S. was established. All right, needs to happen. 1938 as well, Marineland opened in Florida. It was the first aquarium in Florida in the U.S. Like, you know what? Let's look this up. First aquarium in U.S. was 1873, Woods Hole, Massachusetts. All right, so this has to be the first aquarium in Florida. All right. 1 year later, 1939, the U.S. Congress established the U.S. Coast Guard Reserve, later renamed the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary in 1941, as a uniformed volunteer units supporting the Coast Guard. All right. 1 year after that, 1940, after conquering France, Adolf Hitler visited Paris and viewed the Eiffel Tower and the grave of Napoleon Bonaparte. Yep. And then after they were losing, after like the Normandy invasion and all that stuff, he actually ordered the complete destruction of Paris. He wanted to raze the entire city to the ground, get rid of the Arc de Triomphe, burn down the Eiffel Tower, destroy, the Notre Dame Cathedral, like all of just everything. He wanted to wipe that clean. Just absolutely appalling. Like, I don't know. I can't fathom somebody being so selfish and evil to that degree. So, anyway, 1943, British ambassador to Portugal Ronald Hugh Campbell invoked the almost 600-year-old Anglo-Portuguese alliance between the two countries to request the use of military facilities on the Azores. Yikes. While that was going on, RAF discovered Werner von Braun's V1/V2 base in Peenemünde. Alright. And of course, those were being used to terrorize the Brits. So, 2 years later, 1945, the last organized Japanese defense was broken at Tarakan. Alright. But it was later up until I think 1975. The very last Japanese soldiers still hunkering down. It was one guy. And thankfully, his direct CO, his commanding officer, was still alive, and they found out who this guy was. They found the CO, and they actually brought him over, despite being old as hell, to give him a direct order to stand down and that the war was indeed over. That's wild. Could you imagine how different things would have been had that guy not been around? I'm not talking about the guy still in fighting. I'm talking about the CEO. Really, really, lucky for everybody involved that things just so happen to have fallen in place like that. Anyway, 1947, U.S. President Truman's veto of Taft-Hartley Act was overridden by Congress. Yep, we spoke about that the other day. 1949, the first 12 women graduated from Harvard Medical School. All right. And that's 1949. Why is that not highlighted? You'd think for this being a leftist source, they'd be like, hoorah, you go, girl, But apparently not. 1950, Indians' Luke Easter hit the longest ball in Cleveland Stadium history, 477 feet, into the upper deck in Section 4. I don't know what that means, but it sounds impressive, so cool. While that was going on, Swiss Parliament refused voting rights for women. Oh, come on, man. Just 1 year before, women are graduating Harvard Medical School. They should get rights. Let's go. 1951, most expensive U.S. hailstorm. $1.5 million in crop damage and $14 million in property damage in Kansas. Yikes. 3 years later, in 1954, we have 122 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius in overturned Nevada. This was a state record until June 29th in 1994. So we might be talking about this again later on. Specifically June 29th, which actually is like in 6 days. 1958, Dutch Reformed Church accepted women ministers. All right. 1958 as well. Foundation Premium Erasmium, the Erasmus Prize, was established. What is the Erasmus Prize? Let's take a look at that. For what category is an award of? The Erasmus Prize is the annual prize awarded by the board of the Premium Erasmium Foundation to individuals or institutions that have made exceptional contributions to culture, society, or social science in Europe and the rest of the world. It is one of Europe's most distinguished recognitions. All right, that's cool. Be interesting if we here at OMNI Coalition ever get something like that. That'd be nifty. For further reading on that subject matter, of course, please refer to the underbar in the description below. The links to everything we've collected, as well as anything else you might potentially be interested in, are down there. Let's see here. 1958 as well. A U.S. federal judge ruled race separation must end 2.5 years in Little Rock, Arkansas. All right. So they have 2.5 years to get their ish together. 1 year later, 1959, convicted Manhattan Project spy Klaus Fuchs was released after only 9 years in prison and allowed to immigrate to Dresden, East Germany, where he resumed a scientific career history of ultrasounds. They should have killed him. Like, he gave the Ruskies the bomb. If that's not treason, like high treason, and an executionable offense, I don't know what is. And we just, let him off with a slap on the wrist. Absolutely Harry Potter-ass looking guy. Anyway, 1960, first contraceptive pill was made available for purchase in the U.S. Alright. 1961, Cubs' Ernie Banks ended his 717 consecutive games played streak. Okay. That's a lot of games played, to be honest. 1961, the Antarctic Treaty, ensuring that Antarctica is used for peaceful purposes for international cooperation in scientific research and does not become the scene or object of international discord, comes into force. And that should be highlighted because that is a major, major, major thing because of all the resources they're finding in Antarctica and in the North Pole region as well. A lot of major countries are really chomping at the bit to get down there if they haven't already, doing a bunch of secret stuff because Antarctica is a big place. But then again, if anybody's doing anything, people would know, at least the people watching the satellites. So somebody would know something. Anyway, 1963, New York Mets Jimmy Pierschall hit his 100th home run. He circles bases backwards. I wonder if that's like a tradition or a thing. Like what do you do? Like normally run it, or do you just run it backwards, assuming he hit it, or did he hit a successful home run? I'm not entirely sure. If anybody can find a video or something of that, you know what? Let me just look this up just to see if there is a video here. Videos. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. Runs the bases backward. Wow, this is a 2-hour long video. Okay, here we go. There's that. So I'll just keep this up for now. Anyway, I want to get it over here. Let's move on up here. What else do we have? 1963 as well. The Detroit March to Freedom occurred with 125,000 people participating, the largest civil rights demonstration in the United States up to that point. Yep. 5 years later, in 1967, U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson and Soviet Premier Alexei Kosygin hold first of 2 summit meetings in Glassboro, New Jersey, almost halfway between New York City and Washington, D.C. All right. I still have the 1 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Save the thing. 1967, U.S. Senate censors Thomas J. Dodd from Connecticut, Democrat, for misusing campaign funds. All right. So censures, not censor. Censure, like a census. or like like doing something. 1968, 74 people were killed and an additional 150 were injured in a football stampede towards a closed exit in a Buenos Aires stadium. Yikes. That's frightening. 1 year later, 1969, 24 Africans from the Graf Reynet district, Cape Province, appeared in the Grahamstown Supreme Court on charges under the Sabotage Act. Allegedly, or they were alleged they had conspired or incited others to kill white people or police. Yikes. 1970, Red Skelton Show, last aired on CBS TV, moved to NBC TV. Alright. The Golden Loon knows about the Red Skelton Show. 1970 as well, rocker and singer Chubby Checker was arrested for marijuana possession. Well, obviously know the motive why that was going on. 1972, 45 countries left the sterling area, allowing their currencies to fluctuate dependently or independently of the British pound. Yep. Well, and while that was going on, 1972 as well, Bernice Guerra became the first female umpire in U.S. Pro Baseball. Geneva Senators and Auburn Twins in Geneva, New York. Cool. A female umpire. I never thought of that. Like, I never thought against it. Like, I don't know what I'm saying. Like, I just never stopped and thought, like, are there female umpires? Like, of course there are. But, yeah. Once again, this shows answering questions I didn't even realize I had. Like, when was the first female umpire? Well, here it is. Anyway, what else do we have here? 1972, Hurricane Agnes became the United States' costliest natural disaster, affecting 15 states with 119 deaths and $3 billion with a B dollars in damage. Holy crap. While that was going on, U.S. President Nixon and his Chief of Staff H.R. Haldeman agreed to use the CIA to cover up Watergate. And shortly after, talking about that, Nixon signed an act barring sex discrimination in college sports. It almost seems video game-ish, the life and responsibilities of a president. It's like 1 minute you're talking about, let's use the CIA to cover up something I did, and then we're suddenly talking about sex discrimination in restaurants. Like, what the conversations in that Oval Office, I'd love to be a fly on the wall. That's just wild, thinking about those two crazy things happening on the same day, probably within minutes of each other. It's just like, okay, what do we have here? What do we have there? What's coming in from the Pentagon? What's on this docket? How's Area 51? Just part of everyday life. Wow. 1974, first extraterrestrial message sent from Earth into space. I don't know about that. Like, ever since radio broadcasting and television and all that stuff, everything sent up into the air just keeps on going. So, I guess this is the first, actual, purpose-built and boosted, message. So, 1 year later, 1975, rocker Alice Cooper fell off stage in Vancouver and broke 6 ribs. Ouch. I hope, okay, Vincent Damon Furnier. So, yeah, that is a guy, right? The godfather of shock rock. Okay, so that is a guy. I don't want to assume genders. But yeah, hopefully he got well soon, and he got back on his feet and all that stuff within a decent amount of time. Anyway, what else do we have? 1976, the CN Tower, the world's tallest freestanding structure at 555 meters or 1,815.3 feet, built by Canadian National Railway, opened in downtown Toronto, Ontario. It was later surpassed in 2007. Yep. The CN Tower. And that is not the Cartoon Network Tower. It's the Canadian National Railway Tower. I don't know why it's not called the CNR Tower. But it's just a big old, tower type structure. I remember it from playing SimCity. I love just, putting that in the middle of the city. Tower! So. What else? 1976, the U.S. vetoes Angola's application for membership of the United Nations Security. Ooh. Oh, poor Angola. Anyway, what else do we have here? 1977, Violence erupted in Soweto, South Africa again, and the police made at least 146 arrests. Yikes. 1979, Ma Sharona single released by The Knack. And at that same time, Charles Daniels Band released The Devil Went Down to Georgia. Wow, I had no idea. Those two are good songs, and I had no idea they were released at the same time. So, like literally same day, same year. 1980, David Letterman Show debuted on NBC TV Daytime. Alright. While that was happening, 1980 as well, first solar-powered coast-to-coast two-way radio conversation. Alright, and now we have Discord and VoIP and, Skype, TeamSpeak, Ventrilo, phones. Wow. South African Prime Minister P.W. Botha warned the country that confrontation will be inevitable if his proposed president's council fails. He was the guy behind apartheid, right? Or yeah, he was very, very apartheid, so he can just go stuff a sock in his mouth and beat it. Anyway, 1981, Amanda Makaro became the first U.S. citizen to win the Russian ballet competition. Alright, that's cool. 1981 as well, longest game in professional baseball, Pawtucket Red Sox finally defeated the Rochester Red Wings 3-2 in 33 innings. The game began on the 18th of April. That was 5 days ago. What the hell? A 5-day long game? 33 innings? Why? 1981 as well. New York City Mayor Koch turned down a $7,500 offer to perform comedy. Wow. Wow. $7,500 to say a few jokes. Come on, dude. Come on. 1982, Cleavage opened and closed at the Playhouse Theater in New York City. Wow. I just saw that. I had to put that in there. I'm just like, yikes. 1982, negative 177 degrees Fahrenheit, an all-time low at the South Pole. 1982 as well, Himi of Australia weighed in at domestic cat record of 20.7 kilograms or 45 pounds. Wow, that's a fat cat right there. 1982, U.S. passed the Intelligence Identities Protection Act, Public Law 97-200. Now, what is the Intelligence Identities Protection Act? Let's take a look at that here. Let's see here. It amended the National Security Act of 1947 to allow for the prosecution of individuals who intentionally disclose the identities of covert intelligence officers identified as covert agents serving outside of the U.S. So basically making it illegal for anybody to, blow the cover, so to speak. I guess, if I'm reading into that correctly. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the comment section, but I posted a link to that wiki in the Underbar post show, of course. Going to move on up to 1983. Solidarity leader Lech Walesa met Pope John Paul II during papal visit to Poland. Alright. 83 as well. U.S. Supreme Court ruled Congress could not veto presidential decisions. Let's see here. 1985, bomb destroyed Air India Boeing 747 in air near Ireland, causing the deaths of 329 people. Yikes. So it's this one here. Not good. 1985 as well, Lafayette Pincay Jr. became the second jockey to win $100 million. Cool, cool. Alright. 1986, Tip O'Neill refused to let President Reagan address the House. I wonder why. That's a strange tidbit of information there. What was going on? 1989, the movie Batman premiered, directed by Tim Burton, starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. That's the one with the Joker. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? No. 1 year later, 1990, African National Congress leader Nelson Mandela on a U.S. tour received a tumultuous welcome in Boston. Tumultuous. That's... let's see here. I think it's good. Making a loud, confused noise uproarious, excited, confused, or disorderly. Yeah, so an excited, great, whoa, like standing ovation. Yes. Yes. Really wish I had been old enough to go there, you know. Nelson Mandela. 1990, Moldavia declared independence. All right. While that was happening, police found marijuana at Chuck Berry's house. Okay. While that was happening as well, TV Guide selected Arsenio Hall as TV Personality of the Year. Alright. And of course, he's the guy who was the servant in Coming to America. So, let's see here. What else do we have? 1991, a peace summit brokered by the clergy and business and attended by all major political parties, but boycotted by the Conservative Party, is held to end the violence in South Africa. I got a DM. Okay. Anyway, what else do we have? 1991, Mazda became the first Japanese car to capture Le Mans 24-hour race. Alright, go Mazda. 1992, Emmy 19th Daytime Award presentation, Susan Loki lost for 13th time. This poor woman. Like, God. 1993 as well, Nigeria's military dictator, General Ibrahim Babangida, annulled the results of presidential elections and halted a return to democracy. That's not cool. That sounds, yeah, well, he's a dictator, so. 1993 as well, United Nations authorized worldwide oil embargo against Haiti. 365 days later, 1994, Mushad Abiola was accused of treason and arrested after declaring himself president of Nigeria. More tumultuous stuff in a bad way for the African nations going on in this time period, it looks like. Then we also have Operation Turquoise. 2,500 French troops head into Rwanda to protect civilians under the mandate of the UN. What was I just saying about tumultuous in Africa? 1994 as well, replay showed Oakland Athletics' Bobby Witt defeating Kansas City's Greg Gagne to first in sixth, but the umpire Gary Cedarstorm called him safe, ruining Witt's perfect game. Well, kill the umpire. 1994, South Africa reclaimed its seat in the United Nations. Okay. And 2 years later, Nintendo 64 went on sale in Japan in 1996 on this date. I remember that console. GoldenEye. 1 year later, 1997, in the Central African Republic, soldiers fired on foreign peacekeepers in the third major rebellion since May. Oh God, Africa, can you not go without some kind of crazy something for 5 minutes? Please. In the year 2000, Glastonbury Film Festival in Pilton, England opened. The Chemical Brothers, Travis and David Bowie headlined. Other performers included G Love, Special Sauce, David Gray, Willie Nelson, Ladysmith Black Mambazo, and Macy Gray. Alright. We also have in 2000, the bulk ore carrier MV Treasure sunk off the western coast of South Africa, soiling more than 19,000 penguins. This resulted in the world's largest ever rescue of birds from an oiling event. A lot of Dawn was used, because Dawn is tough on grease. You know, with the amount of advantage they take from all of those disasters for commercialization, one would start to think that Dawn might be causing these oil spills in order to get more footage for more commercials and to make themselves look better. You know? Oh, look at what our product is doing. The better the environment. Ooh. 2000 as well, the Cotonou Agreement, a trade and aid framework, was signed in Cotonou, Benin. Alright. 2003, Barry Bonds stole second base against the LA Dodgers, becoming the first player in MLB history to have 500 career homers and 500 steals. Cool. 2008, Felix Hernandez of the Seattle Mariners hit a Grand Slam home run against New York Mets, the first pitcher since Steve Dunning in 1971. Nice. 2 years later, we got the Glastonbury Festival in Pilton, England again. Gorillaz, Muse, and Stevie Wonder headline. Other performers included Vampire Weekend, Snoop Dogg, Shakira, Willie Nelson, Ray Davis, and the Pet Shop Boys. Alright. 2010 as well, Marina Bay Sands Casino Resort, owned by Las Vegas Sands, officially opened in Singapore with an infinity pool on the world's largest cantilevered platform. Oh, wow. So, let's see here. Marina Bay Sands Casino Resort. Let's take a look at this pool. Pool. Let's see. Oh, this one. Okay. Alright. I know that one. Isn't that the one where they made a meme like who put this sandwich on top of my PS4 or something? There's a meme about this. Or who put a boat on top of these skyscrapers? I don't know. But yeah, that's cool. Wow, that building's already 13 years old. Wow. Moving on up to 2012. 76 monks were hospitalized in Thailand following an attack by a swarm of bees. It's the bees! Never underestimate the bees. Run from the bees. 2014, Claude Monet's Water Lilies was sold at auction for $54 million. So let's see this here. Claude Monet's Water Lilies. I would probably not buy this for $54 million. No, but that's a beautiful painting. Not going to lie. Oh, wow. Is that the whole thing? Okay, now I can see why it's $54 million. That's a really big piece. Wow. Alright. Anyway, moving on up to 2016, the Brexit referendum, United Kingdom voted to leave the European Union. Alright. And while they were doing that, the ceasefire agreement signed between Colombian government and FARC rebels, ending more than 50 years of conflict. Good. Good. Wow. 50 years. Yikes. 2016 as well, the Los Angeles court decision cleared Led Zeppelin of stealing riff from Stairway to Heaven from band Spirit. Yikes. I remember something about that. There's been a lot of like legal turmoil and whatnot in the music industry. What else do we have? 2017, Saudi Arabia and allies Egypt, UAE, and Bahrain issued list of 13 conditions to Qatar in return for lifting sanctions, including closing Al Jazeera TV. Alright. I bet a lot of people are very interested in how I know how to pronounce Bahrain. I have Arabs in my family, believe it or not. 2018, 12 boys and their coach are stranded in Tham Luang Nan Nong Cave, Thailand, by monsoon flooding, prompting an international rescue effort when they are discovered 9 days later. I saw a video about that the other day, well, actually a couple weeks ago. Scary stuff. Really scary. You'll never find me in a hole in the ground unless I'm dead. In which case, I don't want to be buried. I want to have my body... Well, I do want to be buried, but I want it to be launched from a trebuchet and then bury me where I land. Or maybe cremate me and compress the ashes into that jewel and put a jewel into the statue or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Let's see here. 2018, Indian chess prodigy Ramesh Babu Pragnanandha became the second youngest grandmaster at 12 years, 10 months, and 13 days. Alright, cool. While that was happening, 2018 as well, Laura Ingalls Wilder's name was removed from book award by U.S. Association for Library Service to Children due to the author's racist views and language. That's unfortunate. 2018, Zimbabwe's President Emerson Mnangagwa survived probable assassination attempt after a blast at election rally in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, killing 2 people and injuring nearly 50 others. Wow. He got off with the skin of his teeth, it sounds like, and he's still alive. Cool. 2019, Ashley Barney became the first Australian female in 42 years since Yvonne Goolagong to attain world #1 tennis ranking when she defeated Julia Gorgas 6-3, 7-5 at the Birmingham Classic. Oh, well done there, mate. Lassie. Suddenly I turned Scottish. 2019 as well, largest protests in Prague since the fall of communism against Czech Prime Minister Andrej Babis, with an estimated 250,000 in Latha Plain Park. Wow. So that's a visual representation for a ticket to that submarine if there ever was one. 2020, 125 pilots grounded by Pakistani International Airlines after revelations many had cheated in exams and held fake licenses. Yikes. I mean, I get people want to be pilots, but like, I mean, hundreds of people's lives are dependent on you, thousands. It's not just the people in the plane, it's the people who can get hit if anything screws up involving the plane, both on the ground or in the air, or if you crash into a boat. I don't know. 2021, the first ICC World Chess. Let's see, is it up here? Where is it? Not. First 2021, right? Here we go. First ICC World Chess Championship Final. Southampton, New Zealand dismissed India for meager 170. Completed tricky chase of 139 on 6th day to win inaugural cricket title. Cool. 2021, Britney Spears requested a judge in her court-ordered conservatorship. Stated, quote, "I think this conservatorship is abusive. I don't think I can live a full life," end quote. Conservatorship. What is that? Hold on a second. Let me look that up here real quick. Conservatorship is when a judge appoints another person to act or make decisions for the person who needs help. Oh, okay, so... Oh, wow, okay. Basically a handler. 2021, Rembrandt's masterpiece, The Night Watch, seen in its entirety for the first time in 300 years after an AI was used to fill in pieces trimmed at the Rijksmuseum, Amsterdam. Alright. Rembrandt's masterpiece, The Night Watch. So, check this out here. Ooh, okay. And that's completed. Cool. Alright. 2021 as well, U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of teen kicked off cheerleading team after profane social media post saying school violated her free speech. Yeah, I agree. 2022, singer-songwriter Paul Simon made his Newport Folk Festival debut, joining headliner Nathaniel Rateliff for 4 songs at the end of his set, tributing the songwriter. Cool. And last but not least, 2022, U.S. Supreme Court declared for the first time that there is a constitutional right to carry a handgun in public for self-defense, striking down a century-old gun law in New York that limited licenses in a 6-3 vote. Good. Good. So, yep. And then apparently we have some history today. Hold on a second. Open a new notepad copy. Alright, got to add that in right now. And save. But what is it here? Glastonbury Festival in Pilton, England opened. Arctic Monkeys, Guns N' Roses, and Elton John headline. Other performers included Ricky Lee Jones, Lizzo, Lil Nas X, Yusuf, Cat Stevens, Toya Wilcox, and Robert Fripp, Fred again, and the War on Drugs. Somebody named themselves a War on Drugs? Well, that didn't go well for the people who weren't the drugs. So... but that shall be it for the history today. Once again, you should check the underbar of the description below for any links you may find interesting, including but not limited to all things OMNI Coalition. For your dose of past events daily, we stream every day at 11 in the morning Pacific Time, which is 12 Mountain, 1 Central, and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, respectively. For all of you and all of us, I am Xander, and you are you, and until you catch us tomorrow, or if you're interested in some notable events, whether in sports, some news, we have a new show coming up at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, so hang tight for that if you do so wish. Anyway, until you see us again, whenever that is, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles! Where's the thing? There's the thing.